Hello, cross-training students. Welcome to lesson 15. It is entitled In the Fullness of Time. Let's open with prayer. Dear God, thank you for giving us such wonderful promises. We know that in your own time and way, you will keep all of your promises to us. Help us to trust you as we wait. Amen. All right, so what this picture depicts is you can see the Bible in the back and you can see the cross in the middle. And then it says Old Testament and it points to the cross. Everything in the Old Testament is pointing forward to Jesus. And then on the other side, we have the New Testament. And everything in the New Testament is either about Jesus or it points back to Jesus. So what I want you to understand is everything is about Jesus. In the Old Testament, that's all pointing forward to Jesus, and in the New Testament, it's all pointing back. And so Christianity is unique in that if you take out Jesus, if you take Christ out of Christianity, you do not have a religion. No other religions can say that. And this is an important point for you to grasp and understand. All right, so where we are, here's our Bible bookcase. And you can see the first two shelves, we have covered all of that. We have gotten to the end of that. That comprises, those first two shelves comprise the Old Testament. And then that last shelf is everything in the New Testament. But tonight, for this lesson, we are right in between. You can see where the blue book, the last book on the second shelf, it says Malachi. It's not Malachi, it's Malachi. And then on the first book on the third shelf is Matthew. Our lesson is right in between Malachi and Matthew. And it comprises about 400 years. And there's no prophet during that time. And there's silence. God is silent during this time, but he wasn't inactive. That's what we're going to learn about in this lesson. I want to take you back to the dream that Nebuchadnezzar had. And Babylon, it was of that statue where you had the head of gold, which was represented Babylon. And then the gold gave way to the silver arms and chest, and that was Persia. And so we read about that in the book of Daniel. Babylon came in and took over Judah. Judah fell captive to Babylon. And then after a period of time, Persia came in and overthrew Babylon. So now Persia's in charge. Then later you have the brass belly and thighs, that's Greece. And then the legs of iron and feet of iron and clay, that is Rome. God's eternal kingdom is that stone that's going to destroy all of the various nations, and it will set itself up as the Christian nation, the nation without end, or God's eternal kingdom. I would like you to take out your rose book and to have that, and it's page 118, to have that nearby so it's an easy reference for you as we go through this particular lesson. Please do that now. Pause the video if you need to. All right, so we said the brass belly and thighs, that was Greece. And the most famous Grecian was Alexander the Great. He was clearly clearly, without question, he's one of my favorites, and he is also brilliant military leader, without question. Very the best. He was the best in the ancient world, certainly. At the age of 20, his father, King Philip of Macedonia, was assassinated. And at age 20, Alexander comes to the throne. The throne is now his. From that point on, and for 13 years, he does military campaigns and conquers the known world at that time. Then he gets a fever and he dies without an heir. This is, some say that he was poisoned. Never proved. It's debatable. Even today, they still debate. Was he, did he just get sick, or was this an assassination? Unknown. He doesn't have an heir, so his empire gets split among 4 generals. I'm going to show you the empire now. Okay, so everything in green is the empire of Alexander the Great, and so that's split into 4. And you would think they just go away, right? This great empire was split up, and it's no more, which is kind of true and kind of not true, because what happens is with those 4 generals, they export the Greek culture and the Greek language. That means they take the culture and the language with them to whatever part of the empire they rule. And so this is important, because now all of a sudden you can see everything within green. They speak a common language, and that's Greece. If you want to do business anywhere, you learn Greek, I should say. And what happens is you would have somebody who is Hebrew, perhaps, wanting to speak to somebody who knows Aramaic. And Hebrew and Aramaic are 2 different languages, but the people would both know Greek, and so they would be able to communicate in Greek. This is called a lingua franca, and it is something that's very important. It's going to be very important for the spread of the gospel, because now the known world has a common language. They speak their original language, but they also know Greek. Have you heard the expression, all roads lead to Rome? I was asked if that is true, and I'm sure there were some roads that didn't go to Rome. This expresses the sentiment that Rome built the roads, they built the shipping lanes, and they were, very a step forward in terms of, and they were instrumental in terms of transportation and being able to move from place to place through their infrastructure, through their roads and shipping lanes and that kind of stuff. And so that's what they were all about. Well, many things, but that's one of the things they were known for. Rome was a republic, and then Julius Caesar, who was a great military leader in his own right, he took over the Senate, became a dictator. This did not sit well with the senators. They assassinated him. And if you've ever read the Shakespeare play or have seen the movie based on the Shakespeare play, you know that they stabbed him to death right there on the Senate steps. His death was avenged. The senators went on the run, and they were being chased One of those people was his nephew, Caesar Augustus. He wasn't Caesar at the time. He was just called Octavius. And then Mark Antony, if you remember Cleopatra. Cleopatra and Julius Caesar had an affair. And then later, once Caesar was dead, Julius Caesar was dead, she took up with Mark Antony. And then there was a third person involved, and they were all chasing down the senators. Out of the three, one man survived, and that was Octavius. You would know him as Caesar Augustus. Now, this name should be familiar to you. We talk about Caesar Augustus every time at Christmas. We read the Christmas story. And I would like you to look up Luke 2, verse 1 now and read that. And there you see Caesar Augustus. So you can see where Malachi leaves off. It looks like it's silence, but this takes us right up to Caesar Augustus, where he's putting forth that decree that the entire world, that he wants the census done, and that's going to affect Mary and Joseph and the unborn baby Jesus. So at this time, in the fullness of time, the known world had a common language, and that's Greek, and travel to all parts of the known world was made possible via roads and ships. This is critical for the gospel to be spread. The good news of Jesus Christ can now reach the known world. The known world through the language of Greek, which St. Paul will write his letters in Greek, and he will travel via roads and ships. The world stage was now set. It was now ready for Jesus to be born. And we can read about that in Galatians 4, verse 4. Please read that now. Let's close with a blessing. Child of God, may you always see the work of the hand of God around you. Amen. All right. Next week, it is the lesson 16, the birth of Jesus.